Good morning. This is the Eager Beaver Show.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters, CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. Well, good morning and hello, kids, and welcome to season 3 and episode number 331 of the Daily Beaver Morning Show here on the Crier Media Network. Yeah. Today, recording day is Tuesday, March 12th, 2024. And I think it's going to be a lovely day here at the Beaver Lodge. I'm sorry, kids. I seem to have something stuck in my throat. I'm your host, the Eager Beaver, pronouns he, him, hey, Mr. Beaver A. And with me, as always, is my good friend, Mr. Grizzly. A big thank you goes to our podcast founding sponsors, the Peppermaster, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, and CanadianTarot.com. We have a Tuesday morning nibble for you, but before we do anything else, let's say good morning to Mr. Grizzly and ask, how's your mental health doing today, sir?
Well, good morning, sir. My mental health is pretty good, other than this doggo who keeps moving on one of my uplights with her food bowl. I got a bit of a headache, though, to wake up this morning, so we'll see how that plays out. But yeah, I'm feeling pretty good mentally.
Okay, good.
And yourself?
Good. Glad to hear it. I am doing surprisingly well. My biorhythm clock, I guess, is completely out of whack because 2 days. Yeah. Well, 2 days out of the last 7, though, I've been getting home from stuff around 4:30 and stretching out and spending. Well, actually, no, 4:30. Yesterday was earlier. Yesterday was around 2 something, and I stretched out for a bit and ended up sleeping for 4 hours in the middle of the afternoon.
Well, it was National Nap Day yesterday. Did you know that?
Was it? Well, I didn't even know it.
National Nap Day, yeah.
And I celebrated, yeah. So,
Been
yeah.
going on since 1999. I just learned this yesterday.
Didn't know it at all. So, yeah, twice this week I got back home after, morning meetings and stuff and thinking, okay, I'll sit down at the desk and be productive. And literally instead, sort of got tackled by the Beaver sweetie. It says, we need just to snuggle. And then he got me all nice and cozy and whatnot. And then he got back up to go do his stuff. And then I ended up sleeping for the next 3 or 4 hours. When a 10 or 11 o'clock came around, time to go to bed, I was wide awake. So I got to bed a little later. So it was technically a short night. But doing well. Doing very, very well.
Good stuff.
See, the kits are here in numbers in the chat. We have Kit Elaine, Kit Vim, Kit Ellen, Kit Toronto Dan, Kit Pasta Gabe, who is indicating, I believe in previous chat today, that they are moving from Ontario to Alberta to join the resistance.
What's that?
They're moving from Ontario to Alberta.
I missed that. Who's moving?
Oh, Kit Pasta Gabe.
Oh.
Yes, happy move. It's one of the most stressful things that you can do in life. So, hope it goes very well and smoothly for you.
With the big announcement yesterday in Alberta, I think it might be a good time to join the resistance.
A good time to join the resistance. Yes, we have Kit Jillian with us. We have Kit Linda M with us. Good morning, my dear. Who else we have? Kit Tavi G. Yes, it's great to see you. Kit Linda M. I don't know if I said it already, but if I have, it's okay because you're definitely worth two hellos. And I believe that is everyone so far this morning, unless some people came in just at the rubber room session. Yep. Kit Sean and Kit Mademoiselle Fox. Good morning. And Kit Mohan right on time under the wire. Yes, indeed. Big, 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 big news from Alberta.
Massive.
The earth you heard shaken was the fact that former mayor of Calgary,
Three-time mayor of Calgary.
three-time mayor of Calgary, Naheed Nenshi, has officially decided to enter the race for the leadership of the Alberta New Democratic Party.
And if you see some of the commentary directed towards him from former opponents on council of Calgary City Council, have come out and gave him nothing but praises and said this is good for Alberta. And these were his opponents. Like literally, we didn't see eye to eye on a lot of things, but I can tell you this: he's an honest and good man. He cannot be bought. He is not crooked. He will right the wrongs. He will, adjust the ship sails, steer into the wind, and fix the province. Because right now it is a sad mess.
Yes, indeed. So, with him joining the race, Mr. Grizzly, that makes 6, and it means also that the two people I had hoped would join the race have indeed done so. Hold on, shut that, and I'll blow that up for you. So we have now 6 candidates. We have Naheed Nenshi here, and then we have Jody Calahoo Stonehouse, whose video we saw, who told Danielle Smith to, I think it was to pack her bags,
Yes.
or something. And then, of course, we have MLA Sarah Hoffman. 4 of these 6 are Alberta NDP MLAs. So Sarah Hoffman, she is the lady about whom David Parker posted the oink oink response.
Yes.
And another tweet that was very, very gross about her size.
Yeah,
To which
he's a real peach, isn't he?
Yes. To which she went on Just Percent and said, I'm fat, I'm sassy, and something like I can't be anybody else but who I am, or something.
Yeah.
So good for you. And then we have Raki Piccoli. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, and Pancholi. No, sorry, Raki Pancholi, maybe, who is getting a lot of favorable press, I should say. We have Kathleen Ganley as well. And then number 6 over here, Gil McGowan, president of the Alberta Federation of Labor.
Yeah, so that's an interesting entrant.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think, ironically, he'd get a ton of support. I don't know what his policy or platform would be, but I mean, he's a labor union leader, so NDP's a good fit for him. I don't know.
This is a very strong field.
It is a strong field. It is a strong field, and it's not going to be an easy decision for any of the delegates because, quite frankly, none of them is a bad choice. I say Naheed Nenshi to the rescue because we're all waiting to find out if he was going to run, and he is. I have his video here. We'll show it in a second. But it's a strong field. There's no weak links in that chain. So
put it this way: in your lifetime, because we're not that different in age,
no,
did you ever think you would ever see a race for the leadership of the Alberta NDP that would have 6 strong candidates tripping over each other to try to get this is a prize people want.
Well, I mean, I'm still in a little bit of state of shock over the fact that Rachel Notley was elected premier of the province of Alberta. But you know why that was? And
yes.
I spoke to a friend of mine who was running for the Conservative Party federally, and she didn't get elected, but that's neither here nor there. And now she's kind of had her eyes opened as to what's going on there, because somebody who wanted to represent her and help her campaign was Jerry Chipper.
Ooh.
So she didn't know who he was, and I've informed her as to who he was, and she's like, oh my God, I got out just in time. Somebody else attached to her campaign at the time was Candace Bergen, because they had worked together. So I pulled the veil back and showed her a lot of things, and she just sort of went, well, I got out of there right in time. But while she was campaigning for a federal seat, the interesting feedback she got from a lot of people on the doors she knocked in Calgary, where she was living at the time, was that she'd knock on the door. I'm a progressive conservative candidate. Oh no, you provincial conservatives have screwed us over for the last 50 years. You're never getting my vote. She goes, no, I'm running federally. Oh, let's have a chat. She said she encountered that so often. So Danielle Smith got in because she ousted Jason Kenney, and Jason Kenney got in because he's the United Conservative Party, not the Progressive Conservative Party. If it has conservative in it, they might elect it, but the traditional Conservative Party of the province of Alberta is, for all intents and purposes, dead, and has been for a number of years now, much like the Progressive Conservative Party of federally in this country. That's been gone since 2003. It's 20 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think there are a lot of progressives in the province of Alberta. A lot of progressives, a lot more than people know. And there's a lot of people that just vote conservative because that's what they always did. They don't even know who's running. They don't know what the platform is. They just know they should vote, so they go out and vote. So I can't hate on those folks. I mean, I always say make an informed vote, but at least you're casting a ballot. So do I get mad if you cast a ballot uninformed? I wish you were a little more informed, but at least you voted. So, there's something to be said about that. But thinking that in my lifetime, the New Democratic Party would get elected and then be neck and neck for the next several years was not something I ever thought would happen in Alberta. But you can tell because, as more and more people immigrate to the province of Alberta from other parts of the world and from other parts of Canada, because the province is growing. They're just shy of 6 million. 5 million, just shy of 5 million. Let me pull up the numbers. I got the numbers right here for today's count. Alberta's current population, 4,837,607. Ontario's 15,963,914. So they got a little catching up to do. But sorry. Resist with that. But the province is growing, and a lot of people are moving there from, like I said, different parts of the world and different parts of Canada. And the people that are moving there, oftentimes with immigrants, you get a conservative sort of mentality, except that the Conservative Party there is not conservative politics as they see it. It's conservative that supports the wealthy oil barons, if you will, for want of a better term, and private sector industries that want to take over healthcare and childcare and education. And a lot of those folks aren't too excited about that, because you just move here, you're probably just starting out. Sure, you've got a little bit of money, but you're trying to get your settled into a new job, into a new country, into a new neighborhood, get your kids settled. I got a big dog sitting beside me here. And sweetheart. And as a result, you'll find that when they start to privatize everything, especially healthcare, and maybe you've brought your elderly parents here to Canada with you, which completely fine, it's family. What you find is all of a sudden, wait a minute, I got to pay for all these services? I thought Canada, we weren't supposed to do that. I thought our taxes took care of that. That's one of the reasons we came here, because of good social policies. Well, when they discover that the conservatives that they voted for are not the conservatives they thought they voted for, I think they're going to turn to the alternative. And, oh, look, how about that brown fella over there? I mean, Calgary elected a mayor 3 times. Naheed Nenshi's a good man, uncorruptible. As David Wallace said on this show and other shows, he says, I tried to buy him off. You can't do it. The man is uncorruptible. He's a good man. So they're in for a great race.
Yep. I'm excited. I've it's been a while since I've been excited for an actual party leadership race.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, the
Yeah.
Conservative one last time, it's not that it was exciting. It was more like, is there enough people who identify as Conservative willing to buy a membership, to block the person who thought has been acting as if it's inevitable. But this one is actually...
Yeah.
I'm actually excited. I don't know what the word is. It's intriguing. It's interesting. I can't wait to know what happens next. Will there be more people who enter? Like I said, it's a prize that people see, because there are other times too, right? The Conservative, sorry, I have to keep on going to them, but to the Conservative Party leadership race federally that Aaron O'Toole won. Because I think, and Andrew Scheers as well, where it was like sort of like Ron Ambrose, nope, not interested. Peter MacKay, nope, not interested. Pierre Poilievre, nope, not interested. I was like, why is nobody interested all of a sudden? Whereas this one seems to be very, very, very different. So yes, if you are an Alberta kit, when the time comes, please make sure to buy your membership in the party so that you can vote in this race. As we keep on telling you, party leadership races is really where the democracy is at. That's where you actually get your say on who actually gets to be put on the ballot for everybody in your province or your country, depending on the level of politics, to vote for.
So this would be a good time to sign up to the NDP party, the NDP party.
Yeah.
New Democratic Party. The NDP, good time to sign up for a membership for NDP.
Yeah, because the thing is, right, if you keep on saying, if you want better choices, you say, we come to an election, I don't like my choices. The place to make sure where you like your choices is at the party leadership.
Yes.
That's how you make sure you get choices you like on the ballot for the generals, is by going to vote there. Not enough Canadians do that. This is the closest thing to a primary we get.
Yes, exactly. Because it determines who is the leader of that particular party, whether it's provincial or federal. And I'm not in a position to be able to sign on to that because of my job. I cannot, nor do I want to belong to any party, even if it was just to help make the vote change. But because of my job, I can't do it, which is fine. I don't care, honestly. I know that enough informed people will go in there and make the right decision, and I vote in all the federal, municipal, and provincial elections. So that's, I vote when it counts that I can vote. The Pasta Games comment here, an uninformed vote is just as bad as not voting, in my opinion. I understand what you're saying. I do understand what you're saying, and I don't necessarily disagree with you. That being said, I think it's important to still cast a ballot. And sometimes you've got people who go into the voting box and they're like, I hate all of them, and they'll spoil their ballot, which is better than not voting, because at least you showed up and, you had your say.
Yep. It's an expression of dissatisfaction.
Yes. And those spoiled ballots do get counted. And we seldom ever hear about them because they never happen in enough numbers that I think it's even worth mentioning.
Exactly. But for example, if there had been a none of the above candidate, some people have asked that be put on the ballot every now and then.
None of the above.
But if there was like in the United States right now, in the primaries, the Michigan primary, Arab Americans, because of the stance of the Republican Party on Palestine, which probably explains yesterday when we were talking about the State of the Union, why so much of the Israel-Palestine segment was on giving help to Palestinians and what Israel's obligations are in that regard, as opposed to saying, we're the United States, we've been pro-Israel, we're always pro-Israel, Israel till we die, which is the typical U.S. line.
Yes.
So, that has something to do with that. Well, that came from a group of people, again, a group of citizens who care about an issue, deciding to get together and starting a campaign to vote uncommitted because it was an option to send a message. So if somebody were to do that in Canada because an issue was important enough to them, then yes, spoiled ballots would be how people would express that. And if there was a certain number, people would be asked about that. The media would ask and raise it and says, hey, wait a minute, the spoiled ballot rate is usually normally 26 in this electoral district, but this time it was, 2,000. What the heck happened?
So it's like, oh, wait, hang on, what are we doing here?
Yeah, that would get people's attention. So said, you're not actually voting for a candidate, but you are expressing your displeasure with either the system or the process or everything, and it gets recorded. And if you want to change to the system, and that's the way you want to make you, I mean, if 2,000 people in the writing came and spoiled their ballots, there would certainly be a journalist or two writing about that for
That
the
would be
next
a
couple of
story.
days.
Yes, it would be. It's like, whoa, they really don't like the candidates in this riding. What's going on here? And getting back to Pasta Gabe's comment, I understand what you're saying. I really do. And I don't necessarily disagree with you. But I feel that, an uninformed vote is better than not voting.
Mm-hmm.
Because look at what happened in Ontario and look at what happened recently in Durham.
Mm-hmm. But that's
low voter turnout, and look who ends up winning.
Mm-hmm. I think the thing about Pastor Gabe's comment that I like, and I get it, it's somebody was telling me a story about, I think I may have heard it on a podcast, about a family back in the day, because it was one of the times where Mulroney died, and there was a lot of talk about, that was the time where differences between liberals and conservatives were such that you could, as Jean Chrétien said, you could fight about it in the House of Commons and then go out and have a coffee or a beer later.
Oh, yeah. And they often did. They often did.
And it was like this household where the woman was voting liberal and the man was voting conservative, and every election day, they knew what each other's votes were, and every election day says, oh, dear, you want to come to the polls and cancel each other out?
Yeah.
So, it's an uninformed vote cancels out an informed one.
Yeah.
That's the way I kind of look at it in that sense. It's like I'm making all this effort to be informed, and it's like, really? You're just going to go, Doug Ford ate cheesecake, and I like cheesecake, so I'm going to vote for Doug Ford.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, all the hours I just put in. Yeah. But everybody has a right to cast a vote, no matter how uninformed. But why would you be uninformed when you have the choice to be informed?
And today, I mean, come on. Do you know anybody who doesn't own one of these? Or a tablet? Or a desktop computer, or even so maybe you don't have any of those things, but you can go to the public library and use them. And guess what? Public library, you can sit there and read for hours, and they will not disturb you because it's a public property owned by the city that you reside in, and you have every right to be there. So you can go in and get yourself informed. You know what else they have at the public library that you might not know about? Newspapers from around the world.
Ooh.
So instead of sitting in front of a screen, if you want, you can relax in a chair with a cup of coffee and read the newspaper, which is a glorious Saturday morning thing to do.
It is. I got Toronto down going, stop ruining cheesecake. Get past the game again going, perhaps the tax rebate for casting a vote would help turn out. That's what that's the
We've been
policy
discussing that for a while. Yeah.
In terms of to increasing the mandatory voting. Well, what are you going to do? Punish me if I don't vote? Well, no. Okay. Well, maybe not punish. Let's do an incentive. If you do come vote, you get $100 off your taxes.
Yeah.
$100, tax credit or something. And all of a sudden for $100, people might actually decide that I'm going to show up. You get your little I voted thing, and you submit that with your taxes. And
you'd have to put limitations on it, though, because then you'd have Doug Ford going, okay, you get your $100 rebate, but also if you come and vote for me, I'm going to give you a cheesecake. Just come to the PC headquarters. I just made a big cheesecake.
But wait, that's not all.
I'm only partially kidding, by the way. Partially. Because we know what he did with his Greenbelt thing when they hid recent information has come to light that they hid and changed the name of Greenbelt in memos and emails to hide it from people.
Yes.
We'll get to that
G project or something.
Yeah, Project G.
G.
Ooh. Trying to hide the fact that they were selling off our lands to private developers for profit. And how did they do it? They called it Project G to hide it from the public.
Yes. Because somebody's going to file a Freedom of Information request and ask for all the information about the Greenbelt. So if we call it Project G, people will never notice.
We're not dealing with the brightest criminals here, okay? I mean, they're criminals, let's face it, but they're not very smart.
They'll never see me hiding behind this cup.
Project G. Gee, I wonder what that could be. When people keep talking about this Greenbelt thing, do you think that might be it? Like, come on, Doug. Come on. Look, there's dumb and then there's goddamn stupid.
At least call it Project FU, says Kit Tim.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man, man,
Or
man.
or or UY up yours. Yeah,
Yes, indeed. So speaking of provincial leadership races,
Racises.
pieces.
Um,
Speaking of provincial leadership races, Angus Reid came out yesterday, I believe, with its latest approval ratings of premiers. And Wab Canoe, as expected, has the highest favorability rating in all of Canada. He's at 63%, which is actually up from, I'm going to guess, from last month or the last time they did it, which is, I mean, I understand that he's still in the honeymoon phase, but I mean, that's kind of hard to do when you're way over 50 and still be climbing. And is plus minus, and the people who think he's doing a good job versus bad job, he gives you a plus or a minus number. He comes in at plus 39,
wow, that's
which
massive.
is and plus 39 is really interesting because it's actually the 39 is higher than the overall rating of 3 of our premiers. So number 2 is still Scott Moe. How he keeps maintaining his personal number up, I have no idea. But if anybody watched the medal awards ceremony from the Briar, when he showed up to present the medals, he got very, very, very loudly booed.
Really?
Yes. So the provincial polls are indicating that they seem to be tired with his party, but his personal popularity seems to be up enough among citizens or residents of Saskatchewan. But at the Briar, and I understand that it was held in Regina, but I understand that not everybody at the Briar was from Saskatchewan.
Well, that's
So
yeah.
could be, but yes, he definitely got booed.
Well,
So it
that's
wasn't 11.
interesting.
Yes.
Well, I think people are just fed up with the bullshit. Like I said, 2024, the year of the pushback. It's only just beginning, folks. It's only just beginning. People are tired of the lies, the bullshit, the duplicitous activity of our provincial and federal leaders. I'm not even going to get into municipal leaders because that's a whole different kettle of fish, and that has to do with things like sanitation, sewage treatment, cleaning the streets, that sort of thing. There are some duplicitous individuals in there too, because people get kickbacks for developers to build things in different parts of the city. There's a story brewing about that here in Ottawa, but I don't have enough information to really bring anything to the table at this point. But at some point in time, once I get the info from a couple of trusted sources, we'll do a little report on that. There's some, like I said, people are just tired of the lies, the half truths, the scheming methods in which they find other ways to take our money from us without giving us any benefit. And most people, most reasonable individuals who understand how the system is supposed to work, especially those of you who have spent time traveling throughout Europe and maybe Scandinavia, for example, you discover that, taxes are not a bad thing if they're actually put to use.
Yes.
Like, I see the difference they can make. People in Scandinavia are happy to pay their taxes. Literally, they did a show on this on 2020 or 60 Minutes. I can't. One of the news magazine shows out of the U.S. and they were astonished, and the Americans were like, "Why I ain't paying taxes?" And everybody in Sweden, Finland, Norway, Denmark, no, we're happy to pay taxes, of course. Look at the schools that we have built here. Look at our healthcare system. Look at the social safety net we've built. Look at when I retire, I have a pension, not from my employer, but from the federal government, of which we all pay into. So it's a savings plan for when I get older. We pay for services with our taxes, and we expect them. I think because a lot of them have been redirected and cut back because I'm going to save you money on your paycheck, without telling you that now you have to pay for x-rays when you go to the hospital, or blood work when you go to the hospital, or all of a sudden you have to pay more for your kid to attend the same school that they've been going to for the last 4 years. What the hell is going on here? Oh, that savings on your paycheck is pennies, but the costs to your wallet is hundreds to thousands of dollars.
Indeed. Well, and you can represent that right now from the excise tax on alcohol, which is going to be 14 cents on a case of beer, or
It's 3 cents a can.
the carbon tax, the carbon regulatory free increase, which isn't even a penny
Oh yeah, no. So
per
yes,
liter of gas.
right.
And
it's
if you scale both of those back, like, that's going to be the difference between you making your mortgage, paying rent, making
Yes.
sure that you have enough food or enough gas in your car, like this, or heating your home. It's I'm thinking in French, ça totalement pas rapport. Like, one has absolutely nothing to do with the other. In this case, the couple of pennies you're going to save from cutting those things is going to cost you way, 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 way the hell more. You got 40 million people contributing into a pot in one way or another, versus you having to cover a cost alone. It's like,
and that's what people fail to understand.
Yeah.
It's a couple of pennies off your paycheck, but guess what? The savings that you actually get by having proper social services in place is massive, especially when it comes to a federal or provincial level, because they can purchase those services at a better rate. This is why this National Pharmacare program, even staunch progressive conservative friends of mine have said, no, this is a good plan. It's not there yet. They don't like the way it's being rolled out, that it's only two things. They're like, it should have been more from the beginning, but the plan is good because they recognize the federal government has bigger purchasing power. So we can get it cheaper. And Tavi, that is my new background is from the pub, actually.
Yep, indeed. So continuing on with the Angus Reid data, we have Premier Eby of British Columbia, who's in third, going into an election this year at 48%. And Danielle Smith is at 47%. But here's the interesting thing about her. She is both the most loved and most hated premier, because her net positive is -1.
Wow.
So she's like, literally, there's as many people anyway, when you have like a 0 on the nose, that's as many people don't like you as do like you.
Yeah.
And she's just -1. Smith is at 8. And then at the bottom of the list, the three most unpopular premiers are Doug Ford and then François Legault. And François Legault, that's a big drop over the last few months. Doug Ford's at 34% and Legault's at 32%. So they're plus or minuses. Ford's at -29 and Legault's at -30. Oddly enough, for Ford, it's the opposite of Scott Moe. While Scott Moe's party looks like it's about to do bad in the polls while he's still popular, Doug Ford is unpopular, but the Conservatives are still slated to win a majority if there was going to be an election. A slim majority, but still slated to win a majority at the moment. François Legault comes in at -30 on the plus-minus. And the person who has the title for the worst plus-minus and the least popular premier happens to be the current premier, but hopefully not for long, of New Brunswick, Blaine Higgs. He comes in at 31% public approval, and his plus-minus is -33, which means that his minus number is actually higher than his approval number. So that means he's like despised almost like 3-1, 2-1.
Wow.
Well, not 2-1. 2/3 disapprove.
I read something yesterday about Angus Reid.
Okay.
Quick footnote. I read something about Angus Reid that he's a former Progressive Conservative Party member, and I think he ran for a position at one. Again, I haven't had time to look in. It was quickly in passing. But what this commenter had to say was interesting, and I do not know this to be true, but possible, because we've seen him say some pretty outlandish things lately online.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things this commenter had to say was he only polls conservative households. I'm like, really? I suppose he would have the information to know, but really?
That would not be good for your data and not be good for your reputation as a pollster. I would be surprised if that is the case, because, again, when you're a pollster, your methodology is your trademark or your intellectual property. Yeah. And if your results are all bad, then that's, it's a reputational business. Yeah, I'd have a hard time believing that. But his is among, doesn't have the highest ratings
Mhm.
among the major ones among the aggregator 338. So whatever methodology or however their stuff is weighted, there are still some issues with it because most other polling companies rate better, the Legers and the Polaras and all of those. So Ecos and all of them. So but they're very good at marketing their thing because Sachi Curl is everywhere. I don't see her. I don't see Frank Graves as many
Lately,
places
no.
as she is. I don't see the guy from Leger. I don't see the guy from Main Street. But it's almost like she would attend the opening of an envelope because she's literally on every newscast every time they have something. Now, I guess, maybe if you have a lower rating, by being everywhere and getting more visibility is maybe the way that you get business. But it's very interesting that for being the pollster that doesn't necessarily have the best rating, they're probably the pollster with the best visibility.
Mm-hmm.
Which is kind of interesting. But yeah, sorry. When I was said 2-1, that was indeed correct. My math was correct at the first time.
How do
Because
they
our
make money at that?
64%. Well, it's the private polling, right? This type of polling that they do, this public polling where the results come out that are essentially free, is basically their way of advertising themselves. The quality of this gets other people to come in and do, actual surveys where they put in, other questions than these, or, and political parties to when they do their internal polling, and companies and corporations want to poll or do focus testing for their, that type of stuff. So this is basically, like when you go to the corner store and milk and bread is always, always relatively low price or equivalent to the grocery store, as opposed to the box of KD, which, is like 3 times the price at the grocery store. So they use the milk and the bread, those two staples, as sort of draws. It's the same thing. The sort of horse race numbers is basically the draw. But when you're looking at Blaine Higgs, when you add the moderately and strongly disapprove, both of them are at 64% when you add them together, and the strongly approve and moderately approve are at 30, come in at 31. So yeah, by margin of 2-1, greater than 2-1, they dislike him, and his strongly approved number is only 7. And the 3 premiers that I mentioned, Premier Ford, Premier Legault, and Premier Blaine Higgs, are the only 3 premiers that have strongly approved numbers that are in the single digits. That's not good. That's really, really not good. So, kids and cubs, let's hope that the trend is Mr. Higgs, skip air quotes, friend, and that we can manage to flip that one. He needs to be turfed. He really needs to be turfed. In other news, Mr. Grizzly, when we're talking about the ArriveCan thing, there was some questions about some companies that the Conservatives had done business with before and whatnot, and it was kind of hard to get it all straight. So I'm issuing this as a gentle correction on myself because it may have been a little muddy the way I thought I understood it, and I explained it may not be exactly as it was. It seems that the guy who worked at D&D, who got $7.9 million of contracts for AdScout, has been getting contracts since 2004.
For the ArriveCan app?
Yeah, for the ArriveCan app like this. David Yao, who was a PPC candidate. He is one company, and he's not the company that did change its name. The other company is CG.
Right.
Because they're the ones, when Skippy is talking about the 2 people in their basement or their garage, it's CG. It's not David Yao. That's the company for which MP Jennifer O'Connell tried to table some papers in the House of Commons for which she needed unanimous consent showing that the Conservatives had done business with them. JB talked to us about it too, mentioning that they had done business for the Department of Transportation at the time when Skippy was there. I've looked back in his background. There isn't a time when what I can see on Wikipedia, that he was Minister of Transportation. He was Minister of Democratic Reform, and he was Minister of Social Development. So, the people that handle EI and your CPP and your Canada pension, your social insurance number, that type of stuff, job banks. And that's why he says he was Minister of Housing, because housing was under that.
Right.
So I
Because there
don't
was no actual minister of housing at the time, right?
exactly.
It just fell under that portfolio.
Exactly. So when I do a search for him on Wikipedia, I don't see him as a minister of transportation, but he may have been the junior minister or something at that time. So, but I know that he was not the minister of transportation. However, CG is the company. CG, how would I put it? There was another company that merged with CG in 2015, and they had a string of government contracts. And there's a person on Twitter who goes by Diane Ellison, who almost right on cue yesterday when I had tweeted something. Mark Gerritsen had posted. I don't know what this is in response to, actually, because Twitter keeps on doing some weird stuff where you click on something and then it shows you a whole other set of tweets to the side of it that are not at all the tweet. Anyway, but Diane Ellison sent this to me. I'm going to blow it up so that I can show the kids as well. But this is what everybody has been talking about here. So it's a little fuzzy because the whatever's typed in, but this was the Articles of Amalgamation, the Form 9 from the Canada filed under as required by the Canadian Business Corporations Act, that shows that what do they call it? CG Strategies Incorporated is about to merge with something called Corridel Systems Consulting. And then when you look at Corridel Systems Consulting Incorporation, you see a certain number of contracts here: 233,000, 541,000, 21,300, 140,000, 120, 1.849 million, 287,000, and for some reason they are all different ones here. So Natural Resources Canada, Fisheries and Oceans Canada, Transport Canada, and then there are more and more. So just to clear that up, so we're talking about when that narrative is being brought out, there are two companies. There's the whole thing with David Yao, in which people were wondering, how can you be working for the government? I guess, and still having government contracts, you can if it's not related to the department with which you work, which is the case. And it seems that David Yao went to provide testimony and says that all his documents were filed within the government for being able to do that. And he was a former member of the military. He's working now on the civilian side, but he was an active member of the military, had his full career, retired, started his own company. Then I believe he came in to work at the civilian side. And I do believe, so whatever contracts he got, he did get that were not attached to that. But at the time he got the ArriveCAN contract, he was not a civilian employee of the Department of National Defense. He is one now.
Right.
But not at the time he got the ArriveCAN app. Okay. He was still working as an independent contractor. And I believe he's actually, if I remember correctly, that he has dissolved that company, or hasn't been taking new contracts since he became an employee at D&D. So he's not someone who was a public servant and was also had his company on the side. He had his company on the side and then came back to the public service. So that's one company.
Changes the narrative a fair bit.
It changes the narrative a fair bit. Exactly. And we like to be facts first. It's not information we had at the time we were reporting, but now we do. And, just because it changes the narrative rather than sticking to the narrative and say, aha, you did this. No, once you get new information, you change your mind. So it seems that this person has been doing things the right way and has been doing it above board. So the real issue now, however, is CG Strategies having merged with Corridel Systems Consulting, and the Conservatives bashing people. Yes, that they have worked with before and that received. Now, I will not say they are contracts that the Conservative government gave them because they come through departments.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
And then they're
and it
bid.
doesn't mean
You don't just
doesn't mean that these contracts here that come from the departments, the one that's like $1 million, probably went up the chain all the way into the minister's office. But the ones that were $21,000, lower level managers have the authority to approve those without that having to go all the way up to the minister's office.
right.
So these are more likely, if we're going to be using precise wording, contracts that were given to the company while Conservatives were in power, and not necessarily contracts given to them by the Conservative Party, much like the $7.9 million Arrive can would probably have been a contract as awarded through a tendering process through the CBSA and not one or through public service, but not through the Liberal Party of Canada or the Privy Council office or the Prime Minister's office.
And let's remember to suggest or explain that the reason oftentimes contracts are just under a certain amount of money, or just go ahead and just approve it. The reason they do that is due to the fact that if it's below that amount, getting all the necessarily regulatory normal approvals, if you will, is cost prohibitive. It would cost more than what the contract is worth, so don't bother doing that. That's why they have that cutoff, right?
Yeah, like if you're hiring a translator to translate something and it's going to be like $2,500. It's like when I was a manager, I had the opportunity to approve that to myself.
Right. Because
I didn't even have to go to my supervisor to do that.
No, because if you did, it's too much.
Yeah, I think I had authority up to like $15,000 before I had to go up the chain.
Level.
Yeah, on this one, but that's for clarity because we need to be clear on the story and make sure that things are clear. But there still is, when we say again, the Conservatives throwing anyone under the bus, right? It is a company that received contracts during that time, and I don't know how long Conservatives can keep on throwing business owners like this under the bus.
I mean, it's long past due that they get called out for it because, come on, man. They just, again, how many times do we have to say it? They don't care. They'll just use anything they can. But
at this point, this is destroying the name of people that are potentially doing good, honest work.
Yes. Yeah.
Again, simply because who was the government at the time that the contract came out, even though the contract wasn't actually given by the government's office itself.
Mm-hmm.
It's just normal course of operations in a public service that serves 40 million people and has X number of departments and lots of contracts. I mean, on any given day, there are a lot of contracts that get signed between individual employers, businesses, independent contractors, self-employed people, and the government of Canada, and through its various departments. And very few of them go through the Prime Minister's office.
Very few. Just because it's cost prohibitive, right? It makes no sense to do it.
Yeah. Now, in another bit of sleuthing, also by Jennifer O'Connell, so whomever is being represented by her, you got yourself a good one here. But with regard to the whole brouhaha that Conservatives are trying to make with regard to Magnotta being transferred to medium security and Paul Bernardo earlier being transferred to medium security, it seems that the Conservatives keep on saying, well, this is as a result of that bail reform bill, C-83, that Trudeau did.
Mm-hmm.
All these people. Well, Jennifer O'Connell decided to do a search and see how many, what were transfers to medium prisons like after Stephen Harper passed his version of that type of bill, C-10, back in the day. And well, lo and behold, that the C-10 came into an effect in 2012, and lo and behold, in 2012, 2013, and 2013, 2014, while Stephen Harper was in power, as a result of Bill C-10, as Pierre Poilievre would say, look at the number of people who got transferred from maximum to medium. There's a visual up there, Mr. Grizzly.
Sorry, just a second here. I got a lot of things on my screen. My apology. There you go.
In 2012, 2013, 291. In 2013, 2014, 319. And since then, the highest is 253 between 2022 and 2023.
Always
Every
leaving out the
single
details.
year that the current prime minister has been in power has been lower than the 2 first years after Stephen Harper's version of the bill came out. And there was not one conservative howling about somebody who got transferred from maximum to medium then.
Funny how that works, huh?
Jennifer O'Connell, you are earning your keep. You are definitely earning your keep there. That's some good digging. That's some good digging. That's stuff that we need more of. We need more of that type of stuff that people are looking into. You know what? You're saying something? Well, let's look at how you were doing things, running things when you were there, buddy.
Yeah. Well, no, don't look at what I did. Just listen to what I tell you.
Mm-hmm. Now, this whole thing with ArriveCan comes because Conservative MP Michael Barrett posted this thing saying that GC Strategies are headed to testify Wednesday about his role in Trudeau's $60 million Arrive scam. Parliament ordered him to appear or face arrest. GC Strategies is a 2-person company and was paid $20 million, 33% of Arrive scam costs. And he's posted this thing that says, like, notice of meeting and make a big deal out of it, this, so that you all know that they brought him in. And it's very, very, very weird. We mentioned this on a show previously. It's very, very, very weird for a committee to pre-issue a warrant if people don't show up. So they're really trying to frame this as the person that they're bringing in is indeed a criminal who defrauded people, and they have to drag him in kicking and screaming. There are a lot of them that will be saying, if it wasn't for the warrant, maybe he wouldn't have come in, which probably will be a lie.
Mm-hmm.
So just to be sure on that. And that's what caused me to ask, will the people from GC also answer questions about when they allegedly operated a company under another name to which when your party was government were offered contracts? Because I'm hoping that Jennifer O'Connell is on that committee, because there she will be able to table her documents.
Well, that'd be interesting now, wouldn't it?
How are we doing for time, Mr. Grizzly?
We've got about 5 minutes.
Okay, we'll do this one quickly. Canada Proud put out this tweet saying, Pierre has a message for corporate Canada. He's not working for them. And it's showing a little speech of him, a clip of him on CPAC delivering a speech where he says, quote, When I'm Prime Minister, my obsession, my daily obsession will be about what is good for the working class people of this country.
I don't believe him.
Yeah, so he's not working for corporate Canada. So BS alert, number one, Captain Applesauce recently met with 98 corporate lobbyists in 30 days.
That's got to be some kind of a record.
Right? And in his over 20 years in Parliament, he has never met back-to-work legislation that he wasn't eager to sign, or a piece of legislation that actually benefited workers that he could not wait to vote down. And then
all he's ever done.
We cannot forget the inconvenient revelations about his key staffer. Don't be fooled by the racks that I got. I'm still Jenny from Loblaws. Basically running his ship. And then, of course, the too convenient lobbying past of his Deputy House Minister, Melissa Lantsman. And if you're looking in the registry, who not only lobbied for Walmart, but Purolator and Canaccord Genuity and True North Gaming and Ontario Genomics and MindBeacon and Extendicare and the Ontario Pharmacists Association and the Ontario College of Social Workers and Social Service Workers and the Registered Practical Nurses Association of Ontario and IKEA Canada and TerraSend and Trans-Northern Pipelines and Harris Canada Systems and Neighborhood Pharmacy Association. And then He called lobbying people useless, and then I think it was you that had brought the news yesterday, Mr. Grizzly, that the Conservative Council
The vast
had people.
majority of their membership, I think no, I shouldn't say majority. Almost half of their members are lobbyists.
Well, it's close to that, but not that, because I found where it comes from. It's from this news source called The Breach, which you should be following. There was an investigation done on September 11th, published September 11th, 2023, titled Poilievre's Anti-Elite Tories Stack Top Council with Corporate Lobbyists. Nearly half of the Conservatives' new governing body members are lobbyists for oil, pharma, real estate, and anti-union companies.
Well, imagine, to my surprise, the shock that I feel by hearing this. None. There's no shock. It was expected.
So I'm just going to tease you with that, given that we need to go. But I will put the link in the chat here for Mr. Grizzly to put up for you in case you want to pre-read it. But tomorrow we will give it a read on the episode to find out who are all these wonderful people sitting on the council of the Conservative Party of Canada since sometime in September, if not earlier, who are now being labeled as useless.
Yeah. So he's throwing his own ministers under the bus to try and win a point. The guy's scum, I'm telling you.
Again, it's like, where's the media person with the mic in front of Jenny Byrne and Melissa Lansman's face to ask them how they feel about their leader, saying that, well, what they currently do as a side hustle for one of them and what they used to do that brought her to the attention of the party and made them decide, hey, you should be our candidate. And not only just our candidate, but my deputy leader. Has now suddenly made them think that all that experience makes them useless.
Yeah.
Ladies, do you have a response?
Somehow I doubt it.
What's that? Oh, crickets. Okay, yes. Well, Mr. Grizzly, since the crickets are out, do we have a show?
We do indeed, sir. We do indeed.
All right, kids and cubs, that's the end of this episode of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. We hope that you love listening to us because we like making this for you. And because sharing is caring, please tell your peeps and poops all about us. Share the good word about our show because word of mouth is priceless. If you would like to make sure that you do not miss an episode, you do not have to. Thanks to the Ray Girl, she's fiery, she is fresh, she is fabulous, and she is fierce. And she has sponsored for a second year now our Podpage site. So if you click the QR code that I'm sure Mr. Grizzly will make appear under my chin any moment here, or if you're listening, go to podpage.com/the True North Eager Beaver, lowercase letters with a hyphen between each one of those words. If you click subscribe there, you do not have to miss an episode. When we have one fresh off the bandwidth, it will get directly to you. And if you would like to support us in other ways, kits and cubs, well, then you have to make like Kit Elaine and go to our YouTube page. And there you are, right on time with a have a beyond awesome day, everyone. And remember to smash the button before you leave. We have like, we have share, we have subscribe, smash 1, smash 2, smash 3. Hey, we love it when you smash with us. And if you would like to support us in yet other ways, the squiggly by Mr. Grizzly's head brings you to our Eager Beaver Lodge Emergency Hydration Fund. With there, you can drop off a couple of toonies or loonies to send your encouragement and support and make sure that we have the staff that we need in order to be able to produce this show for you. It's a labor of love, but of course, it's not free to do. So any help that you can provide us, if you enjoy the quality, if you enjoy us, if you enjoy the fact that we can make politics somewhat tolerable,
palatable, enjoyable.
Yep. Anything. Just any reason. If you like my hair, if you like Mr. Grizzly's hair, hey. Your eyebrows look smashing today, darling.
I'm straining. I don't see any hair.
Whatever the reason, we don't care the reason. If you want to throw us some money, we'll be happy. But again, as we always say, the gift of your attention is the most important gift, and we thank you very much for stopping in and listening to us today. Because democracy is something that you do, please, 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 please write those letters. Let people know you demand better. Let people know that you're paying attention. And if you have the time, call your representative's office and ask for a meeting. Let them know. Be respectful when you go, because you'll go further if you're respectful. Even if you oppose them, you'll go further if you're respectful. But be firm.
I know it's difficult to sometimes be respectful of people who have no respect for democracy or their constituency or Canadians or how tax money is spent. I know it's difficult to be respectful, but it's very important that you are, because if you show them respect when you call or write or show up at their office, chances are you may get a chance to actually have an audience with your member of parliament or member of legislative assembly or member of provincial parliament.
Or even your senator.
Be respectful. Come prepared. Put things in point form on your phone if you need to. We all have access to OneNote or something to that effect. So if you need to, put them down in point form. So when you ask the question, if somebody like Pierre Poilievre tries to be a smart ass and say, well, show me the page, show me the page, show me the page, have the page. Have the page. Come prepared. And don't back down.
Yep. There you go. From the Beaver Lodge, this is your eager beaver saying it could be a tough world out there, so please be kind and gentle with yourself. And thank you, Miss Shadika, for saying that my smile brightens your whole day. And thank you, my friend Kit Mike, for saying you should see it in person. His smile is even better. It's contagious. Aw, you guys are great. You guys are so good to me.
Mohan is correct about that. My hair is consistent.
Fabulously consistent. Just saying. Fabulous. That's a level.
You see a bit of a green hue on me, right? All over my skin, my head, everything. It's just how it goes.
Mr. Grizzly, do you have some words of wisdom, please?
I think I kind of just delivered them a minute ago, actually, about being respectful when you contact your MPP, your MLA, your MP, or your senator. You know, come armed with water to put out the fire, and it will be successful to you.
Indeed. Meshadka says, and Paul gives off the kind but take no shit older brother vibe. You both make me and many others feel welcome and safe. That's what we're going for. So thank you very, very, very much. All right, Mr. Grizzly, please cue the rooster. You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters, CanadianTarot.com, their uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and The Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. We are grateful to the Crier Media Network for its support, Pete Jarvis for our artwork, and Paul Joseph Something for our opening and closing sequence music. All right. A couple of quick things for the Easter egg for you. It seems that somebody, a friend of mine in the United States, who was a big fan of Canada, wanted to know, asked AI what Canada would look like in medieval times.
So is that, I don't know who that is. That looks like Sean Fraser, actually. Sean Fraser on a giant Canada goose wearing a maple leaf. Well, that's kind of cute, except we didn't have a flag in medieval times.
Exactly. And then somebody else decided to be inspired from that. And I think this is like if Braveheart was Canadian.
Canada geese with swords. That's terrifying, actually.
Freedom!
Cobra chicken
Freedom!
with a
Honk.
broadsword, a claymore, actually.
Yes, that gives a whole different meaning to Hong Kong.
Ugh, you think?
All right, Mr. Grizzly, what have you got?
I have a clip for you, sir. This is the,
Oh,
I don't know
please do.
why does it keeps reverting to that. I don't know why. This is the clip from the promo clip for those of you who've not seen it, from Naheed Nenshi announcing his candidacy for NDP party leader in the province of Alberta.
Ooh.
Pay careful attention to what he says about Danielle Smith. It's really interesting.
Alberta. I grew up here, on this street in Northeast Calgary. So good to see you again. And just outside of Red Deer. My family were small business people. We lost everything in the 1980s recession.
The nation is in its worst economic crisis in 50 years.
And we had to start again with a little laundromat. Sometimes we were poor. Sometimes we were very poor. But we struggled. We worked hard. And ultimately, we found success here in this place. And we found that success because Alberta believed in us. I graduated from great public schools, including this one. I explored the city on public transit. I haunted the public library. I learned to swim very badly in a public pool. And the public healthcare system was always there for us. These strong public services shaped me, and they helped me build a great Canadian life. That's why, after working for businesses across North America and living around the world, I chose to come home, here to Alberta, to make my life. I worked hard in business, as a professor, and ultimately I was elected 3 times as mayor of Calgary.
And our best days are still ahead.
Serving for 11 years. During that time, Calgary was named the best city in the Western Hemisphere to live, and we kept our residential property taxes the lowest in the country. But things are so hard right now. Life is getting less and less affordable. Our utilities and insurance bills are through the roof. Too many of us don't have a family doctor. We don't know if the ER or the ambulance will be there when we need it. Our kids' classes are getting bigger and bigger. Our summers are filled with forest fire smoke, and all of us feel the impacts of floods and of droughts. What we need now is smart, credible government. We need a government that respects us. We need a government that we can trust. And sadly, we don't have it. Danielle Smith and her government are not only incompetent, they're immoral and they're dangerous. The only things they know how to do are pick fights and waste money. And while they indulge themselves and their friends, life gets harder for all of us. But it doesn't have to be that way. There is a choice, a better choice. Alberta's New Democrats are that alternative, a party based on values we all share, Alberta values. With your help, we can build on the tremendous legacy of Rachel Notley and all of those who have worked hard for this party.
That we would provide health care for every man, woman, and child.
Together, we can beat Danielle Smith and the UCP. We can restore public education. We can protect and improve public health care. We can strengthen our economy and we can build prosperity. We can make life more affordable. We can safeguard our seniors and the most vulnerable. We can save lives. And we can do it together, today. Please go to nenshi.ca to buy your Alberta NDP membership and let's get started. We can do this for Alberta, for all of us. I'm Naheed Nenshi, and I'm running to be leader of the Alberta NDP and your next premier.
Well, I don't know about you, but I am fired the hell up after that.
Well, that's how you
Talk
it,
about
kids.
shots fired from a howitzer. She's incompetent, immoral, and wow. Like, wow.
And only there to indulge herself and her friends.
I mean,
that's the one that's the
you
line.
want to talk shots fired? Oh, he is not fucking around.
Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas.
God damn. We got to get an interview with Mr. Nenshi.
Oh, I would love
I'm going
that.
to see if I can pull a string or two with friends who know him personally. see if we can make something happen. I'm going to send out the request today. Say, listen, any chance in hell you could connect me with so-and-so who could put me in touch with Naheed Nenshi, because we would love to have him on the show. I think he'd be a great interview.
That's
And then
good.
I'll send along the interview with
Yeah.
Susan Holt, with Mark Garrettson, and with Senator Patrick Brazeau. You know, it's just sort of a, oh, by the
Yes.
way,
As
here's some
samples.
examples of our work.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. I fully approve.
Thank you. Got to do some digging. I got to get to the office, though. I will see you later. So you guys
All right, kids.
have yourselves a great day.
Merry Christmas,
I'll see
Alberta.
ya.